What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Movement Parallels Life. Today, we're all about that hip mobility. We're building stronger hips through a full range of motion and in time, even unlocking new ranges. This is potent stuff. This is not always the most exciting work, but it will pay off huge dividends in the long run. So as we get started, I just want to say that I'm not personally coming from a background of something like alignment-based yoga. To me, this is more of an exploration. There's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of individualization that goes along with a practice like this. So I want to try to key in on some points, some concepts that I want you to focus on, but I want you to remember that this isn't about creating perfect positions and perfect stretches. This is more about seeing what your hips do. Now, I know I say it all the time, but it's worth repeating. We're not about moving into pain. This isn't about forcing your body to get as contorted as possible. That's not what mobility work is about. This is about being progressive and being mindful with becoming stronger through a greater range of motion. So this is essentially opening up a conversation with your body, applying a little bit of effort, a little bit of stress, seeing how the body responds, what signals come back, and then repeating that process and slowly coaxing your body, coaxing your nervous system to unlock new ranges of motion. Anyway, let me get caught up with myself. So we're going to kick off the practice with this warm-up of sorts. We're just using our sitting positions as movement prep. We'll focus on a lot of hip rotations, different expressions of hip rotations in these seated positions. So as we're going through, really focus on holding the positions actively. So we want you to be intentional. Use effort to elongate the spine and the limbs and to really try to grab the ground and create a strong connection. And most important is simply to breathe. Understand that this whole practice is really predicated on your ability to breathe and relax and allow the body to open up. You're putting in a lot of effort into holding these positions, but don't let that effort come at the cost of your breathing. Okay, next we're going to move into a hip opening sequence for 2 rounds. I'm starting in a deep half kneeling position. In this first variation, my back leg is open, my hip is in abduction, getting a really nice stretch through the lateral portion of the back hip. I'll turn to face forward, entering a deep half-kneeling position with hip extension. I'm active here, pressing into the ground with my back leg, gripping the ground with my front leg and elongating my spine. I can tuck my toes and even lift my knee to create more strength in the position and a greater stretch. Rotate inward, coming back to the deep half kneel with hip abduction. Here I'll find a little bit more space to sink in, pull myself to the ground, and open my hips in that lateral range of motion. Simultaneously, I'm continuing to breathe and relax. I'm going to make a switch over to the other side and repeat. Okay, let's go through that short sequence for another round. You can keep things the same or feel free to add any variations that might feel right for you. After that first round, your hips might have opened up a little bit, and now you're free to start expanding on the techniques and furthering your exploration. I'll be adding in some external rotation of the front leg and a few more deep pulses from that long lunge position. Make your switch and let's work on the other side. Okay, next we'll move into a sequence to improve squat and split mobility. We'll start on the ground, working seated variations to continue opening up the backs and insides of the legs. Make a transition into a deep squat. Make sure you're actively pulling down through the creases of the hips, elongating your spine when possible, and working to pry those hips open, creating more space. Next, transitioning into a wide stance squat. Make sure your feet are rooted and your thighs are externally rotated. We don't want your knees collapsing inward or you collapsing into the arch of your foot. You might get fatigued quickly in this position. If so, just stand up and take little breaks. Also, use your breathing in gentle movements to find more relaxation within this wide stance squat. Experiment with the rotation of the pelvis and how you're shifting body weight from side to side, forward and back. Your goal here is to explore all the different angles and expressions of this movement and start to identify what feels best for your body. From here, we're going to work the middle splits next. I'll begin by standing tall and pressing my feet actively into the ground. Then sliding my feet outward, reaching my legs away from my body. As I go deeper, I'll roll my pelvis slightly forward and continue to extend my legs out towards the side walls. I'll drop lower a few inches and hold with strength. It's really important to be mindful here, to favor patience, don't overreach, and don't make it sketchy. Let's cycle back through for a second round. hey, things can get pretty intense there in that work. So we're gonna close up the practice today with some deep breathing and gentle movements. Get on the floor, find any comfortable positions and any variations that you want to start going through. I'm gonna go to right back where we started, seated positions, hip rotations, and just letting my body come back to baseline. And so that's going to finish our practice for today. Now, for me, mobility work is definitely challenging in a different way. It requires a balance of strength and humility, a balance of effort and ease. Ultimately, it's about trusting the process. You can't force the body, but you allow change to happen organically. And at the end of each session, I'm left with this feeling. That feeling is the reward. I feel strong and elastic. I feel worked but relaxed. And for me, that's enough motivation to keep at it and to stay patient. The ongoing lesson for me is that when we're faced with a challenge, we can't always force our way through it. Sometimes it's just a matter of leaning in and being consistent. And along the way, we've got to be able to see those tiny little signs of progress and growth to keep us going. So that's it for today, you guys. As always, if you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, for moving with me. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, love your practice.